Everyone, meet Kevin here with a stimulus check and stimulus package update for you and some good news. Finally, Republicans are warming up to the idea of more money. But first, I want to talk to you about how broken the country is and how you can get ahead in this broken country. And the easiest way to do this is by showing you a very real example. 2.5 weeks ago, Donald Trump met with CEOs of multiple restaurants. I guess they call them restaurateurs and I watched the entire meeting and it was like an hour and a half long. It was really boring. Just think about it. A bunch of industry CEOs talking about the restaurant industry. Don't get me wrong, I used to work for the restaurant industry. I did busing and hosting. I never made it to server. But anyway, at least I get the restaurant industry somewhat. So I thought, okay, I could get through this. But anyway, in that meeting, restaurateurs said they needed more flexibility with the Paycheck Protection Program. And guess what happened? Within 2 weeks, the House of Representatives drafted a 2-page bill giving the restaurateurs exactly what they wanted: fixing the issues of the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, don't get me wrong, the restaurateurs, I think, did a great deed on behalf of all businesses who are getting or have already gotten the Paycheck Protection Program. I think the fixes were necessary. But it's interesting that when industry CEOs go to the president, we get a bill that's introduced in the House that solves the problem within 2 weeks. A few days after that, the House passes the bill. A few days later, yesterday, the Senate passes the bill, and Donald Trump is expected to sign it today or tomorrow. It gives the restaurant industry exactly what they wanted. It gives them through the end of the year to hire people back. It gives them loopholes if they can't rehire people. And it gives them less of a requirement that they have to actually spend paycheck protection money on paychecks. It also gives them 24 weeks to spend the money instead of the original 8. Oh, but when it comes to more stimulus checks or unemployment benefits or relief for us as individuals, what happens? Wait and see. And there's only one explanation I've realized for this. And I think this is sort of the silver lining, because if you know how the game is played in the country, at least you could try to align yourself with that game to get ahead. The more and more I learn about this country and the government, the more and more I realize the people who get ahead in this country have one or a combination of the following 3 things: a business, stocks, or real estate. If you don't have one of these 3 types of assets, it's almost impossible to get ahead. Now, it's not completely impossible, right? But it's just way harder. And look, we're about to get into the good news with Republicans and more money. I'm going to talk about that. And also, seriously, I'm not trying to pitch my real estate investing course or the money investing course for beginners. I just seriously want to share this because, look, I worked at Jamba Juice. I worked at Red Robin. I worked at Hollister. I've had a lot of minimum wage jobs. I started with nothing. And it sucks because I realized there's no way I could get ahead unless I have one of those 3 things. And I found if you have a combination, you could get ahead way faster in this country. So if you're frustrated about the country, you should be. But when you have this in the back of your mind, even if right now you're like, Kevin, I'm never going to buy stocks. Stop mentioning that. I don't want your 2 free stocks with Webull in the link down below if I deposit $100. I dream with you saying that, and I'm not going to do it. I get it. I was the same way. I remember sitting in high school playing World of Warcraft, and the kid next to me is like, I'm putting all my savings into Google stock. And I'm like, you're putting your money into stocks? You're an idiot. Yeah, I wish I did the same thing, okay? That was like 13 years ago. It would have been a good investment, okay? So anyway, let's move on to what Senate Republicans are finally doing. And the easiest way to do this is by pulling up what is actually a very powerful article. The Hill this morning published this, and it's phenomenal. So let's go ahead and pull it up and let's talk about it a little bit. Here we go. So The Hill this morning mentioned that some Senate Republicans are reversing their positions on ending an increase for the unemployment benefits, basically saying they're warming up to the idea of keeping the unemployment benefits. To some extent at least, right? Let's see what else we've got here. We've got a growing number of GOP senators say the federal government should continue the weekly unemployment benefits in some form. Okay, this is good. Let's see what else we got here. This was fascinating right here. Look at this. GOP senators fear that the wave of protesters, riots, and other forms of social unrest that has rocked major cities across the country is linked to the bleak economic picture and that their majority is on the line. You think? Like, this is literally what we've been saying on this channel for weeks now. That, hello, the people are frustrated, the people need money, and if you really want to have a chance at winning the election, you need to get off your butt and help the people, not just the businesses, not just the rich people who are benefiting from the Federal Reserve going, money printer. The people need help. It's so frustrating. But it's definitely an interesting loosening here, because initially we see, there were complaints that the $600 per week plus up, the $600 boost of the pandemic unemployment assistance payments was at first too generous and provided a disincentive for returning to work. But now, look at this. Many Republican senators, including members of the leadership, now say the federal government should continue to enhance state unemployment benefits, or provide a back-to-work bonus of $450 a week for laid-off workers who return to their prior jobs. Now, obviously, this $450 one has created a lot of contention, right? We're very concerned that what about the people who stayed at their jobs? What about the people who already went back to their jobs? There has to be some fairness, some equity in this new $450 back-to-work thing. In my opinion, it should just apply to everybody. Give everybody. You're on Social Security, you already went back to work, you're working, here you go. That just makes it very easy, and then have that happen for 6 months or 12 months. That would solve a lot of issues. People would be able to pay their bills and would finally create that fairness that I think we really need in this country, especially as very wealthy people massively get ahead. Just look at the stock market and what the Federal Reserve has done by shoring everything up. But anyway, we'll put that aside. Let's go back to the article here because it's fascinating. We've got another Republican senator here saying, look, I don't think we can ignore the fact that civil unrest is happening against the backdrop of 20% unemployment. This is good. This is a dramatic shift from what we heard on Monday when, for example, here, John Thune was like, you know what? We're going to have a busy week this month. It's like, so disconnected from reality. Well, now, okay, all right, we've got several ideas out there. Okay, open to maybe some of these new options here. In fact, he says here, maybe what we could do is some kind of ramp down where you go from $650 or $600 a week down to $500 a week, down to $400 a week, and kind of sort of ratchet it down over time, giving the people the opportunity to transition back into work. Maybe we can combine that with a boost for going back to work. So that way you're kind of getting incentivized both ways. You want to go back to work because you'll ultimately get paid more money. But if you can't go back to work because your job's not around anymore, you're not getting ripped off. Because the reality is, companies are going to come out of this much more lean. This is another reason companies win. Companies just got the carte blanche opportunity to fire anybody they didn't want by laying them off and then just, oops, sorry, we're only rehiring 30% of our workforce. They literally just got to clean house. And it's not fair because you're talking about people's lives. And The Hill here appropriately remarks that this is a shift from where Senate Republicans were a few weeks ago, and they reiterate that Mr. Portman's proposal is a leading contender, and that's that $450 back-to-work boost. Again, we know that has problems. It leaves out certain people. It's created some frustration. I don't expect that to be the only proposal. I expect there to be other things that are combined with this, especially for people who are on Social Security. But you even have very vocal conservatives like Mitt Romney here. I think we ought to have the additional plus up. But even a bigger one here, Lindsey Graham is probably one of the most vocal senators in the Senate. And listen to this one here. Senator Lindsey Graham, who was one of the biggest critics of the March CARES Act $600 weekly boost to unemployment benefits, on Wednesday said he supports providing federal benefits to people accepting unemployment benefits past July. That is a huge U-turn. Finally, they're realizing, oh my gosh, we can't leave the people behind. This is a really exciting article, in my opinion. And it comes as a lot of senators are realizing, crap, we've got a big election bid coming up, and we've got a lot of seats that we could lose if we don't take care of the people. In fact, here I've got to note that Republicans have 23 seats at stake, while Democrats only have to defend 12. So Republicans can lose the Senate here. And then all of a sudden, Democrats can control the House and the Senate. And if Trump gets the boot, then Democrats could literally have 2 years of doing whatever they want to put this country on the path that they want. Now, you know me, I'm not here to take sides, but this next election is huge. We could literally have the same crap that we have now, where we have like this infighting and half, or we could have a completely controlled country by Democrats or a completely controlled country by Republicans. Very big election here. So I think all people are now starting to realize, oh crap, we really got to take care of the people. And I'm thinking to myself, really? You needed an election to remind you that you needed to do that? Oh, it's so frustrating. All right. In other news today, we had another unemployment claims update. Unemployment claims fell to 1.9 million, obviously extending the disaster of the unemployment crisis, but the rate at which these are falling is accelerating, so we're seeing less and less claims every single week, which is very good. You also now have Lego removing advertisements for police Lego sets and the White House Lego sets. Now, they're not pulling the product, they're just removing the advertisements for it. Which I do want to make one quick note here about Apple, but I also want to know if you've heard of the company Nikola, the possible contender to Tesla. Let me know what you think about them in the comments down below. If you'd like a video with my opinion on them, let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you hear me talk about stocks all the time, you hear me all the time say, hey, get your life insurance on the link down below. Get your 2 free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100. I've got programs on money and finance and real estate and all that. But I want to know, what's stopping you from pulling the trigger on, not buying the courses, but buying stocks, like getting into owning some of these assets, whether it's stocks or maybe even buying a house for you to live in. I want to know what's stopping you. Why are you not investing? But in the meantime, let's quickly flip on over here. Take a look at Apple. Apple has published this on the front page of their website. Speaking up on racism, I encourage you to check out the message from CEO Tim Cook. Take a look at this. We've got some MLK quotes in here as well, so it's a very good read. I think it's very appropriate. And folks, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your continued support for the channel. And folks, we will see you next time.